Hello ninjas, how's it going? How's everyone today? Hope you're all keeping well. The power is back on. We were supposed to have a stream yesterday. And it was like, I think I was all ready to go. I had the cell setup turned on and everything. And then we lost power. We had a storm in Western Australia. Apparently, it was a 10-year storm, like a storm that you haven't gotten a storm that big for like the last 10 years. It didn't get too crazy for us where we live, but it did obviously knock out some power lines or something. How's it going, Ms. Yeti? Have you been keeping well? I'm going to have a bit of a demonstration of this game, and then we'll probably just in a few minutes, once we've given enough time for everyone to arrive. Oh. So, who here has played Undertale? Oh no. Just need to change one thing here. This is a game, I played it when it first came out and I loved it. I thought it was so cool. How's it going, Cool Trish? Keeping well? Does it do the broadcast? No, it doesn't. Oh, I just need to change this. There we go, that's better. There we go. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game when it came out. I thought it was very clever. It was a lot of fun. The characters were great, and obviously it's massive now. A lot of people know, what Undertale is. So today's session originally, I like to try to make sure that every so often I do a session that's suitable for new viewers. So if you're already fairly experienced with Scratch, I'll have some additional challenges for you. But otherwise, this is going to be a pretty good entry point for getting into Scratch. Oh, that was close. Let's have a quick look at the chat. How's it going, AD and AJ? You guys keeping well? But yeah, Undertale's a lot of fun. A deceptively simple game. If you haven't played it, or if you don't want to play it, by all means, watch a YouTuber play it, because that's a lot of fun as well. Your draw on famous people. I think I played that one last time. So now that we've given it a few minutes, I probably should make a start on the lesson, I think. Or maybe just a little bit. Maybe I will have a quick go of Inch's draw on famous people. Because I had a look at it before, and wasn't there an issue like it wouldn't draw or something like that? So I wonder if have you made some changes since the last time? Change pen size, next slide, reset. So, because it's not drawing. Am I doing something wrong? Because funnily enough, so what we're going to do on Thursday is Pokemon Part 4. Then next week, we've got public holiday on Monday, so there's no stream on Monday. Then on Tuesday, I think that's going to be... It might be It's either so it's Tuesday and Thursday. One of them is Python. One of them is an introduction to Python, and the other one is going to be a how to make an art program. And I forget which one is which, but that's next week. This Thursday is Pokemon part 4. Yes. Yes. All right. So. Yeah, let me know in chat, Inches, if I'm doing something wrong, because it's not drawing. And I had to go before, when you brought this one up before. Okay. So I think we don't have Blake yet, but I think we might make a start. Yeah, absolutely. AD or AJ, or maybe both of you said, and Mezzietti, you're going to add the Megalovania soundtrack in your game. By all means, I won't be doing that for mine. I'm going to keep things fairly simple. So I think that's enough time waiting for everyone to arrive. Let us make a start. So what I'm going to do is, I think everyone again, is. Everyone is here. Everyone here, I recognize. So, if you haven't been to one of these before, just write in chat. Let's go to make a new project. So yeah, if you haven't used Scratch before, just mention it in chat. But just a quick little intro to get to Scratch. You just type in Scratch into Google, and the first thing that comes up, Scratch Imagine Program Share, that's the one that you want. And then the top left corner, you click on the Scratch button here. The Create button. That's what you want to do. All right, so first things first. Let's do some art stuff to warm up. Aha, Jack! Nice to have you here, Jack. Have you used Scratch before? I've just given a little intro into how to get to Scratch. Let me know in the chat if you've used Scratch before. And what I'll do is I'll just give all of the steps pretty straightforwardly. So in Scratch, what you'll see in the bottom right corner, there's a window which has got a cat in it, and that's called Sprite 1. Sprites are like objects in your game that you can put code in them, and you can put other things in them like sounds, and you can put... all right, you have used Scratch before, Jack? That's fantastic. Various things that you need to make your programs in Scratch. So we're going to add some new sprites. In fact, we need to add 3 new sprites. So to do that, go to the bottom right corner, hover over that little cat face button, and click on Choose a Sprite. Click right on the cat face. Okay? So just a few things to bear in mind, Jack. If you can, try and have this... It's easier if you can have this stream up on a separate screen, this video up on a separate screen to the screen that you're using to use Scratch. If you can't do that, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But if possible, that's easier. The other things as well is that there's some latency. So bear in mind, I receive what you are saying in chat on time, but you're getting this video after like a 15-20 second delay. So if you type something in chat and I don't say anything straight away, don't worry. You just got to wait for like 15-20 seconds, and then your video will catch up with where I am in real life. And if need be, I can type into chat and communicate with you a bit faster. And if you need help with your project, what you'll need to do is make sure that you save your game on the Scratch website and publish it, and you'll need to make sure that it's shared, and then you'll need to tell me what your Scratch name is so that I can find you, because you can't put a link into the YouTube chat. And if you say help, I won't know how to help you because I cannot see your screen. So either share your project with me or say specifically what's going wrong for you. And what I'll do this session is I'll say when we're about to have a bit of a break so that we can spend some time experimenting, and I'll say when we need to focus and follow the code that I'm going to give you in order to make our game work. Okay, so that was a little break while I explained some things. Let's continue on with our coding. So what we need to do is we need to find a heart. This is going to be the main character that you move around. So you can type in heart in the top left corner, or you can just look for it and then click on the heart. So once you have this sprite, the heart, we need to make this sprite smaller. So just above where all the sprites are, you'll see a few different options for each sprite that you've got selected. So make sure that you've clicked on the heart sprite and then change the size of the heart sprite. And I think a good size that I found was, 10. So the size you currently should have for the heart should be 100. But if you type in 10, that makes it a lot smaller. That might seem a little too small right now, but trust me, that's a good size. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to do some more graphics stuff. So after we've got our heart sorted out, our heart is sized down to size 10. Follow along with me to the bottom right corner of the screen where it says choose a backdrop. Then go up a bit to where it says paint. So bottom right corner, choose a backdrop up to paint. And that'll take you to this screen. Scratch 3 has updated their painting tools a bit, which is really interesting. I won't go into that in a lot of detail. What we're going to do is we just want a black backdrop, okay? So we're going to, first thing we need to do is you'll find a blue button in the bottom left corner which says convert to bitmap. Click on this. I won't go into details about some of the graphics stuff because I'm going to focus on code today. So just once you've done that, you'll notice that the graphics editor changes a little bit. Then we want to click on fill, that little paint bucket picture. Just there in the top left corner. We want to get a nice black color and then click somewhere on the screen so that our background is black. All right. Once everyone's got that sorted, we're going to do some painting of some sprites. So bottom right corner, look for the little cat face where it says choose a sprite. Go up a bit and click on paint. And that's how and you'll notice it's added a new sprite. This sprite is called Sprite 2, and you can draw all sorts of stuff here. Now we only need two things. So first thing is we need a little box, and that's the box that our heart's going to be moving around in. So we need to click on rectangle, and we can change some of the color settings. There we go, to make it all white. Although, you'll notice that the rectangle has a fill color and an outline color. So we actually want to click on this red line. You should see there's a red diagonal line, which means no fill. So that means this box isn't going to have any color inside it. Very important that we make the box hollow. So make sure that you select that diagonal red line under the fill option in the top left corner. The outline option is the one that we want to change across to white, or a gray could work as well. And you can change this number if you want the box to be thicker or thinner. I'm going to stick it on 6. And then just draw a little box. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that looks pretty good. The nice thing is you can change this around a little bit if you want, until you've got a box the size that you want. Cool. I like that box. In the top right corner, where we've got all of our game happening, you can move things around as well. So you can move it around until you're happy with where everything is. So I'll give you guys a bit of time just to make sure that you've got your box all drawn, the background done, the heart, and the cat still. I'm just going to have a quick look at chat. Ms. Yeti says, I just made it small in Sprite editor, so it's pixely. Yes! You can, that's a cool idea, making a little pixel heart. And then Ms. Yeti says, if you hold shift, you can make a perfect square while you're using the rectangle tool. That's awesome. That's good to know. I didn't even know that. Very nice. All right. So once we're done with all that, we need to make one more sprite, then we're done with our art, and we're going to move on to our code. So we're going to hover over the little cat face in the bottom right corner. We're going to go up to where it says paint. Jack says, Falcon, so first, Cool Trish says, my outline box is grayed out. And Jack says, when I was doing it, my box is only going rectangular when I want it square. Right, well, if you have a quick look at what Mezietti said, if you hold shift, you can make a perfect square. My outline box is grayed out, says Trish. I wonder. Have you clicked on rectangle, Cool Trish? You might still be on fill. Yeah, make sure that you select the rectangle tool. Hopefully that fixes it for you. I'm just going to quickly remake this because, no, don't. I won't worry about it. Okay, so, had to go to vector. Perfect, got it sorted. Cool, Trish, very nice. So the other thing as well that we need to do is we need to make a little line. So you guys seem like you're fairly comfortable with some of the drawing tools. Let's make that white and that white. So we just want a little line, not very big. So you can obviously in Undertale, if you've seen it, there are different hazards you have to avoid. And one of the most famous ones is when you fight this skeleton called Sans. He has bones that you have to avoid, little bones. But also there are other enemies. One who uses like harpoons and tridents and swords. There are other enemies that like have lots of little spiders and webs that you have to avoid. That's kind of part of the fun of the game, is they all have very different like style obstacles, hazards you have to avoid. So I'm just going to stick it nice and simple and make little lines. So about this size I think is good. Theoretically you could make it any shape that you wanted. All right, so the other thing as well, while everyone's working on their art, we need to name these sprites. To do that, you click on a sprite, just as I'm doing right now, in the sprite window in the bottom right corner of the screen. And then when you click on them, you'll notice that they have a name like Sprite 1 or Heart or Sprite 2 or Sprite 3. And you can rename them by just clicking to the right of where it says Sprite, and then it's got a little little round like field where you can type in the name. So I'm just going to call the cat. The cat is going to be the person standing up here. You can get like a little sans animation if you want, or whatever character you want. I'm just going to call that Scratch. I'm going to call the box Box. The heart should already be called Heart. And the line, I'm going to call Hazard. Because those are the things we don't want to hit. If you hit them, we're going to lose. All right, all fixed, Jack? Wonderful. All right, so that's a little bit of a... hopefully we've all got all of our art sorted out. Let's move on to the code. So, everyone, follow me, finish up all of your graphics stuff. If you're not done with your graphics stuff, leave it for now. You can come back and fix it later, because we're going to do some code. I'm going to explain some things. So, easy first thing that we're going to do is we are going to program in the heart. The heart is going to have to do two different things. It's going to have to move around when we're pressing the arrow keys, and it's going to have to not be able to go through the box as part of its moving around, and it's going to have to see if it's touching a hazard. And if it is touching a hazard, it needs to stop the game, because you've lost. More experienced ninjas, you guys can put in like a HP system if you want, where you tick down HP once you touch a hazard. But follow me for now. Let's do this all together. So first things that we're going to do is we're going to go to Events, the yellowy category on the left. Make sure that you've got your heart selected in the bottom right corner. And we need to get some code that starts when the game starts. So write into chat if you know what code this is. I'll give you just a few seconds to do that. For everyone else, it is when green flag clicked. So you go to Events, the category on the left, and you grab out when green flag clicked. Looks like this. I'm going to make it bigger on my screen so you guys can see. Now what we're going to do is we are going to grab a forever. So if you look, you might even see it already on the left. If you don't see it, click on Control, the orangey category, and grab out a forever and put it underneath the green flag clicked. Now to make it a bit easier to understand what our code does, we're going to use my blocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the red category, my blocks. Once you click on that red category, my blocks, you'll see there's nothing in it yet. We have to click on make a block. So click on that with me now. And we'll have to name this, and we're going to name this movement. In fact, we're going to name this player movement, or you can call it heart movement. Okay? So now you should have a little thing that says define player movement, and you should have on the left a little Scratch coding line that says player movement. Grab that little coding line, that little block, and put it inside the forever. So now you should have when green flag clicked forever player movement. And over to the right, by itself, you should have define player movement. We're going to do this one more time. We're going to make another block. So click on make a block. And we're going to call this detect hazard. Move that off by itself. And do the same thing. Grab out detect hazard and put it inside forever. So forever, it's going to do these two different things that we are going to define. And they are, one is going to control all the movement for our heart, and the other is going to control when we lose the game, when we detect that we've touched a hazard. Okay, so let's go straight into player movement. Hopefully you guys are all keeping up. So what we need to do is we need to get an if-then. So we go to Control. There's a few different ways of doing movement, but we're going to do it this way, because this way has a lot of advantages. We're going to grab If, Then. We're going to go to Control, the orange category on the left, grab out something that's got an if, then a sort of gem socket, then. And then put that underneath Define Player Movement, okay? So then what we need to do is we need to get, in our if, we need to ask the question, is a button being pressed? So you go to Sensing, the light blue category on the left, and you grab Key Space Pressed. Now we're going to change this. We don't want it to be Key Space Pressed, but for now, grab out that little gem-shaped, that little six-sided hexagon-shaped Key Space Pressed, and put it inside the socket that it fits into in between the if and the then. If Key Space Pressed, then. So now what we need to do is we click this white triangle next to where it says space, and we're going to select, let's say, right arrow. If key right arrow pressed, then. So, first of all, let's talk about coordinates. If you move in a game, there are four. Let's say there are four different directions to move. Right, up, down, left, and right. The way that coordinates work is it divides up and down movements, and it into what it calls up and down what it calls y, and it divides left and right into x. So if you change x, you are moving right or left, and if you change y, you are moving up or down. I'm going to show you a little picture, just briefly. Everywhere on the Scratch game has a coordinate. It's like an address. So if someone wants to know where you live on your street, you tell them, I live at this number on this street, and they know to go to this street, and they go to this number, then they can find you. The coordinates on a Scratch game do the same thing, only they're numbers. There is a number there are two numbers that will tell you where you are on the x-axis and the y-axis. The y-axis is how high or low you are in the game, and the x-axis is how left or right you are in the game. If x is 0 and y is 0, you're in the middle of the game. If you're below the x equals, if you're below, like you're lower than y equals 0, you go into minus numbers. And if you are left of the x equals 0, you go into minus numbers. So you can see right here, so it's a bit difficult to explain, but you can see it right here, what all of the numbers mean. So if you were at x equals 100 and y equals 100, you'd be where my mouse is wiggling right now. So hopefully that's explained coordinates for you guys. This is something that I find myself explaining a lot, just because it's really useful in moving characters around the game. So, if we want our character, our heart, to move right, what line do we need right now inside our if key right arrow pressed? Write your guesses into chat now. And if you've been taking a bit of a, and that's a break over, we're starting to put our code in right now. So make sure that you're ready to go. You're in the heart. We're going to put some code in. We're going to grab change x by, let's say, 5. Okay? So now, let's test it. Let's see if it works. Can we move our heart right? Good, we can. Now it goes through the box right now. So let's fix that. Let's fix it so it cannot go through the box. Each time it comes out of the box, just drag it back into the middle. So now we need to ask a second if. So we go to control, we grab if then, and you want this to go right underneath change x by 5, okay? And we need to ask a question. So we go to sensing, we grab a touching, and it'll say touching mouse pointer, but we're going to change that. Grab that out, and just like we did before, put it inside our if then. Then, like we changed the previous one, we click on that little white triangle, and we want to have it saying touching box. And then we are going to have change x by -5. Okay, so let's test it. So you'll notice it goes up against the box and it doesn't go any further than the box. This is because this is happening well, not instantaneously, but it's happening very, very fast. You don't even see it. When you move the heart to the right, if it touches the box, it cancels out that change x by 5, so it stays where it is. It's like stepping into the box for a split second, but then immediately stepping back. So, with everything that I've told you about coordinates, how do we make the character move left? Write your answers in chat now. I'll give you a bit of time to do that. And I know that this is stuff that some of the ninjas who've been here many times before probably know. So see if you can predict what all the rest of the actions are going to be. So hopefully you've got your answers in chat, because I'm going to tell you. So there's an easy way of duplicating a bunch of code. If you hover over this if, the first if, right underneath where it says define player movement, and then right click, which is this button, this finger here, you'll see up comes 3 options: duplicate, add comment, or delete. We want to duplicate. Just normal click on that, and now you've got this entire copy of that code. Just drop it on the bottom. This does exactly the same thing. What we want to do is we want to change this. How do you make your block un-yellow highlighted? Oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about the block being yellow highlighted. One of mine's yellow highlighted as well. So what we need to do now is we need to do the reverse. So we need to make sure that our second block of code that we've just copied is going to be how to make the character go left. So we need to make sure that the code goes if key left arrow pressed, then change x by -5, because that's the opposite of what we did before. And then if touching box, change x by 5. So everyone do that for me now. Make sure that you've got the minuses in the right place. Make sure that you've selected the correct buttons, and tell me if you have any problems with that. All right, so hopefully everyone's still with me. If you're having any problems, let me know. Now, here's the challenge. How do we make the character go up and down in the same way? So we can literally duplicate again, because we need an up and a down. Up and down. So which direction is up? What line do we need to make the character go up by 5 pixels? Write your answers in chat now. Uh-oh. You might need to do a bit of maneuvering. With when you grab a piece of code, it grabs everything underneath it, so you can kind of pull it off by itself if you need to like separate out the bits of code. So remember that when you grab any line, it will grab everything underneath it. So if you need to take it off by itself, then just sort of, you can then pull other things off underneath it as well. Change Y by 5. That is correct. So we should have if key up arrow pressed, change Y by 5. Which means if touching box, what do we need to change the Y by then? Write your answers in chat. I'm going to get rid of this fourth if for now. I'm going to copy this one here. Alrighty. And then our final challenge is to make the down arrow key work as well. So again, what direction do we need to, what line do we need to move our character down? And then if touching box, what line do we need to make sure they don't go past the box? Absolutely. Quite right, Jack. Correct. So, at the end of all this, you should have controls that make all of your characters... make your heart move in all 4 directions. And because of the way that we've done this in a forever loop, you'll notice that the movement is very fluid. You can even sort of go in diagonals as well, which is kind of cool. There are other ways to do controls, but this is one of my favorites, just because it feels like it feels really good, and you can hold down the buttons much more easily, and sort of move a lot more smoothly. And those diagonals, I just really like being able to go in diagonals as well. Has everyone got that working? Let me know if you haven't. I'll give you guys just a bit of a break right now. I'll catch up on chat. Let's see. AD says, Overtale, the sequel coming to a theatre near you this fall, winter. Yes, Ms. Yeti says, I'm calling mine Overtale. Never mind, I'm calling it Freetail. I don't know what to call it. Maybe I could call it Overtale or Freetail. Jack Fisher, if you want to change the color, absolutely. These graphics can be changed at any time once we've got the code in. Okay, let's see. I think that's everything caught up. We've also got those terrifying face emojis in chat again. I am frightened. All right, perfect. So now So we've got our player movement working. And now we need to define detect hazards. This is nice and simple. We've already got something that works with detecting if we've touched the box. So if we want something that detects if we've touched the hazard sprite, we can do something very similar. We get an if, then... We go to sensing, we grab a touching, it'll say mouse pointer, but we want to change that. And then what we're going to do just for now is get a very simple stop all. You get that from control. So you go to control, you grab stop all, and you put it inside the if. So we should have defined detect hazard if touching mouse pointer, then stop all. Okay. So this is nice and simple. So this whole section with the heart has kind of taught you a little bit about if, it's taught you a little bit about collision, how you can make it so that different sprites can detect if they've touched each other, and also how to make coordinates work, okay? And you should have now a heart that can move around inside the box but not outside of it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to go to hazard. So everyone follow along with me. We're going to do some more coding. We're going to set up some clones. All right. So first things first, let's make some variables. So if everyone's clicked on hazard, we're going to get a when green flag clicked. Now this one hazard, we're going to make a bunch of clones out of it because that's just a good way of doing it. Clones are a good way of spawning lots of enemies at once. And it's a good way of spawning like a lot of projectiles, like bullets or rockets or lasers at once. And that way you can have, like, if you had a gun that could only fire one bullet at a time, like the original Space Invaders, that would be hard. So clones are a really good way of getting around that. So this original hazard sprite, there's only one of them, but it's going to make a bunch more. Now the original needs to hide itself because it's going to move around creating clones of itself, and we don't want that to be seen by the player. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to hide this hazard sprite. So we go to looks, the purple category in the top left, we grab a hide and put it right underneath when green flag clicked. Aha, we have our first cat sighting, everyone. Oh, she's already gone. I don't know if you saw the tail. All right, so next thing that we're going to do. Okay, so Jack, you've got to tell me what's not working. Remember what I said at the beginning, Jack? If it's not working, you've got to tell me what's not working. And you've got to also, if you can, share your game on Scratch, save it, and give me your Scratch name. Remember? If I could, Jack, I would reach through the screen, pull my head through and look at your screen, but I cannot. So you got to give me more than that. So what I'll do is, actually, here's another thing that I can do. I will go share, Undertale, and I will go copy this. So I'll bring up the code here. What's probably not working, Jack, is you've probably got a minus in the wrong place, or you've got the up, down arrows, that kind of thing, in the wrong place. Another possibility is your hazard, is your hazard like in the middle? If you touch it, does it stop the game? In which case, make sure that you pull your hazard, your original hazard, out of the box so your heart can't touch it. Because remember, when it touches a hazard, the game stops. So if it keeps touching it every time you start the game, that will stop the game. So you haven't told me what your Scratch name is, Jack. Are you online? Are you on the online version of Scratch? I'll just show you what the up and down is, to be fair. So if your left and right is working okay, that's great. You're up and down. So have a look at this very closely. What you need is to make sure that all of these change. Blue blocks say change Y, because remember Y is up and down, X is left and right. So have a look at all those. You should have 4 of them. So it should be if key up arrow pressed, change Y by 5. If you touch the box, you do the reverse, -5. Then, if key down arrow pressed, change Y by -5, because that moves you down. If you touch the box, you've got to reverse that, so you go up by 5. Hopefully, that will fix it for you. Katie Man. There we go, Jack. Much easier. Just gonna wait for this to load. See inside. Okay, I see the first problem. So I've already given you. Oh well, we've got multiple problems. So first of all, you've got if key up arrow pressed has been sucked inside the if before it. So grab that if key up arrow pressed out like this. So you got it in here like this. I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can see my screen. Grab the if key up arrow pressed, grab that by the if and pull it down so that it's not sucked up inside the other if. Okay? That's your first problem. And then the other problem is that, and you even wrote it in chat, you said you got to change it to y, but you didn't. Look, you got change x by 5, change x by minus 5. You got to have those as y's. Change y by 5, change y by minus 5, change y. That's what you need. Okay? Alrighty. So remind me of your Scratch name, Anna Daniel. Is it Inches? And have you saved it? So if yours is not working, remember, save, share. Otherwise, I cannot help you. All right, so that should hopefully be enough for you. So how are you going, Jack? Have you fixed all your code yet? You're going to need to change, if you have underneath the key up arrow key pressed, you've got to change all those to y's, as in, so change y by instead of change x by. That's why I explained the whole thing about the coordinates. And you need to make sure that all of these ifs are nicely, you should have these 4 sort of overall if statements. In each one will be a little if touching box, but you've got to make sure that the 4 are in a row. Refresh. Yeah, so all right, I'm going to catch up on chat while hopefully this publishes, because I still don't see it. Okay, let's see. The Mezzietti coming to theaters near you. Various memes I see people are. Alrighty. Okay. All good. Save and shared. So, Cool Trish, you're going okay though, Cool Trish? Aha, trapped in a box. Why doesn't it? This is the most frustrating thing because I'm looking in shared projects and yet it's not there, right? Look, I'm not going mad. I'm looking in your shared projects and it's not there. I don't know why it doesn't show up in your shared projects. All right. Well, let's have a look, see. I think it's fine. What's going wrong, Inches? Your movement is not working. It's working fine though now. So maybe you got my maybe you fixed it. Everything seems fine. Up, down, left, right. Okay, great. Very good, Inches. Let's continue on. So what we're going to try and do is we've got to go to the hazard. Let's quickly try and do some code to generate these hazards. So how's everyone else going? Anyone else not got it working yet? Inches is going okay. Let's check out Jack Fisher. So Jack, you've got to make sure that, so unless have you, I don't know if you've saved recently, so you've got to make sure that you're not using set y, but you're using change y. So if key up arrow pressed, then change y by 5, then if touching box, change y by -5, okay? That's the key thing. And then if key down arrow pressed, then change y by -5. If touching box, then change y by 5. All right, so, and what I'll do is I will share my code again as well. So you guys can check this out. You can click on that link that I've given you, and it will show you the code that you need. And we got to keep going now. We're nearly at the end anyway, so if you're still stuck, don't worry. Just check out my code at the end of the session. So we're going to do the last bit nice and quickly, okay? So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed your little break there while we were helping out some of the ninjas. Let's all get back down to business. We've got to go to the hazard. We're going to put some code in here. First things first, we need to make some variables. So click on variables, the dark orange category on the left, and we need to grab set, we need to first make two variables. So there's make a variable, click on it, make sure that for all sprites is selected, and call this variable speed. Then do that again. Click, and we want to click on make a variable and call this one spawn rate. And if you're struggling, don't worry, we're nearly at the end. I'm going to get this stuff sorted, and then I'm going to give you the code so you can check it out for yourself and copy it across, okay? So then what we need to do is we need to get two lines which say set my variable to 0. Drag them both out. We should already have our when green flag clicked hide in our hazard code. We need set my variable to 0, set my variable to 0. Then we click those white triangles and we make sure that instead of saying my variable, they say spawn rate, and the second one says speed. Set spawn rate to 0, set speed to 0. All right, then what we're going to do is we are going to get a forever loop. Go to control, grab forever, Yes, we are going to be doing this speed, very quickly. So we get our forever loop. We put it underneath our two set lines. And we are going to make a new my block. So you click on the red category in the middle of the left part of the screen where it says my blocks. Click on make a block. So I'm going to call this spawn hazards on bottom. Okay? Now you can just call this spawn hazards, but my advanced ninjas who've been doing this for a while, and you guys call it spawn hazards on bottom, because the challenge at the end is for you to make a bunch more my blocks that spawn hazards in different ways, in different directions, that kind of thing. So then once we've made that block, we put our define spawn hazards on bottom to the right a little bit, and we grab our spawn hazards on bottom little line, put it inside the forever. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to grab a wait 1 second. Put it underneath spawn hazards on bottom, inside that forever loop, okay? So, I'll explain that later, we don't have time. All right, so let's keep going. So what we're going to do is we're going to have these hazards they're going to appear along the bottom, and they are going to travel upwards, and you, the heart, must avoid them. And that's how it's going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, we need to make sure that the sprite is pointing in the right direction. So underneath where it says define spawn hazards on bottom, we go to motion, the dark blue category on the left. We grab a point in direction, click on where it says 90. So it'll say point in direction 90. Click on where it says 90. Now you can put the number in, or you can drag this little arrow around and have it pointing upwards. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to events, because we're going to spawn 10 of these hazards. We're going to grab a repeat 10. And what we're going to do is we are going to mention how we're going to make clones before. So we're going to go to control, the orangey category on the left, and grab create clone of myself. So let's hit go and see what that does. We also need, that's okay, don't worry about it. It's not going to do anything yet. Let's keep going. So what we're going to do now is we are going to put in a wait 1 second. Underneath the create clone of myself. And then what we're going to do, now remember how I described how coordinates work. So if you don't understand how coordinates work yet, maybe try rewatching the video again, but I'll just give you what you need in order to make this work. But we want this hazard that's spawning all of the hazards at the bottom. It's going to look like, let me show you. It's going to look like this. So they're going to all spawn at the bottom, and they're all going to come upwards. So it has to move to various random points along the bottom, right? So what we need to do is we need to get a go to x, then it will have a number, and then y, and then a number. Grab that, put that right above create clone of myself. Okay? Then what we need to do is we need to like have these hazards all spawn pretty low. So let's say the y should be minus 160. So that's how low we want the hazards to spawn, minus 160. The very bottom of the screen's like minus 180. That's where that is. So we want it a little bit up from that. And then we want it to spawn left and right. We want it to go left and right in like a really random way. So we need to introduce a bit of chaos. So we need to go to operators, the green category. We need to grab a pick random 1 to 10. It's going to be a challenge to get through this in time. I think I'll just content myself with going a bit over time on this one. We're going to pick random 1 to 10, and what we want in this pick random 1 to 10, you'll notice that this will, and we want that to go into the round socket of our X, where it says go to X. So hopefully you've got me up on the screen now, and you can see all this code here. So we should have define spawn hazards on bottom. Point in direction 0, which means it's facing up. Repeat 10, go to X, and then it will say pick random 1 to 10, but we don't want it to be 1 to 10. With our coordinates, the leftmost part of the screen is X minus 240, minus 240, and the rightmost part of the screen is X 240. So let's say minus 200, which is not quite on the left, as our lowest number, to 200. So we should have go to X, pick random between minus 200 to 200. So pick random minus 200 to 200, y equals minus 160, which should mean that it's along this bottom here where I'm wiggling my mouse, right? That's the way the coordinates work. Chaos. I really enjoy the word chaos. It's you are quite right, AD. All right. So there's only one thing we need to do. Actually, let's just hit. Oh no, we can't hit go yet. We haven't told our clones what to do once we create them. But make sure you've got all of this inside your define spawn hazards on bottom, right? We're pointing our hazards in a direction. We're repeating this 10 times. Go to X, pick random minus 200 to 200, Y minus 160. Create clone of myself, wait 1 second. Is anyone stuck? So let's have a look-see. Alrighty, let's refresh this. Reload. Okay. Okay. All right, Jack. So, okay. Oh, don't worry, Inches. We haven't got the spawning working yet. Okay, Jack. So, what you need to do, so you've got set Y. to 5. It needs to be change y by 5. You've also got like a few random extra things in here that are going to mess things up. You've got to think about it this way, Jack. There are 4 controls in your game, right? So if you pull them apart, you're going to have 4 controls like this, okay? You've got right control, so you've got if right arrow pressed, left arrow pressed, down arrow pressed, and up arrow pressed. So pull it apart like this, Jack. This is what you need in front of you. You've got your 4 controls. So you've got your left and right working just fine. Okay? What you need now is you need basically what looks exactly the same as your left arrow and right arrow. We're actually already over time, Jack. Do you know what, Jack? I can't go through it. Watch the video again, because you gotten confused somewhere along the way. Like we're building it up step by step by step. Watch the video again, and it should make a bit more sense. Everyone, and the other thing as well, click on my project, and you'll see how it works. We're gonna super quick wrap up. We're gonna give our clone some controls. Now, some of you guys who've done this before probably already have done this before. We need to go to Control, When I Start as Clone. Drag out When I Start as Clone. We're going to do this, and then we're all finished. So if you're stuck, don't worry about it. Just have a look at my code when it's all done. Watch the video again and just follow it along. That way you can pause it and make sure you've got it all right as we go. And everyone else, we're going to do this real quick. So when I start as clone, we need this in the hazard code. Then after that, we need to grab a show. Then after that, we need to get a forever. Then we need to get we need to go to move 10, we need to go to motion and grab move 10 steps. And then we need a piece of code that we've used a bunch of times this session, which is if touching something, then do something. So we need to get an if underneath the move 10 steps. We need to go to sensing, grab a touching, and it'll say touching mouse pointer, but we want to change that. Let's change that to edge for now. And then we need to go to control and grab a delete this clone. So let's have a look at this code. When I start as clone, show, because we've hidden the original hazard, we need it to show when the clones start. Then forever, move 10 steps. If touching edge, then delete this clone. That's what we need. Okay? Let's now, we might run into one little problem. Yes. One thing that you might need to do, oh no, it's fine, it's fine. So maybe what I should have done was just stop at getting the heart working. Maybe I had a bit too much in today's session. But if you got stuck, because we're a bit over time now, I've got to finish the session here. So if you're a bit stuck, watch the video again, and just that way you can pause, make sure you've got the correct code. Your other option is if you just have a look at this code here. Let's have a look at Ms. Yeti's clones. Let's have a quick look. Undertale. Alrighty. So, are they spawning too high? What do you what do you not like? What's your problems with your code? It says codes are Ms. Yeti says my clones are broken. Help. Then never mind. Fixed. All right. So everyone who did okay with this, try to have a look at what I'll do is I'll share Undertale improved. Share. Have a look at this. It's mostly the same, only what I've done is I have the hazards move and spawn. Let's have a look inside. I have the hazards move and spawn according to variables. And the other thing, if you guys want to make your own Undertale level with a bunch of different elements to it, then just keep creating more my blocks. And so, for example, I've given you spawn hazard on bottom, have hazards spawn from the right, have hazards spawn from the left, have hazards spawn from the top and drop towards you. You can basically break this down into building blocks and construct it as you want. So yeah, so Jack, have another quick look at the video once it publishes, or maybe we'll go back and watch some of the other videos that we've got on the YouTube channel, and that way. If you get lost, it's easier if you can pause me, or that's the same with any YouTube video. If you can pause the video and then keep watching, that makes it a bit easier. All right, so that's about time. That's about what we've got time for today, guys. That's pretty much everything that you need in order to make an Undertale game. Where's my one? Here we go. So you've got to. I felt it would be good to go back to the basics. Talk about coordinates, the difference between x and y, the difference between, and there's also a difference between changing a coordinate and setting a coordinate. So yeah, hope you guys have all had fun. I know that a few of you guys got a little stuck, and a few of you guys were flying on ahead because we've got a bit of a variety in the audience today. To finish off, let's play a few people's games that they've made. We've got Undertale here. If I refresh this, I wonder what it will be like. Let's refresh. Oh, let's make it big. Uh-oh. You've made it very hard to win, though. It just like immediately kills you. Still, that is very good. You've all got it working, Ms. Yeti. Very nice. Let's have a quick... Let's go to Jack's one. So yeah, watch the video again, Jack, and you'll see hopefully where you went wrong. So, who else? Yo-Yo Cake, is yours ready to go? I should catch up on chat. I do have a cat, Jack. That was Banshee. I have two cats. The black cat is called Jin, and the calico cat, she's called Banshee. All right, let's check out Yo-Yo Cake. Oh, forgot the number, didn't I? Or maybe what we'll do is on Thursday, we're doing Pokemon Section 4. Maybe there, I'll start off with some of your Undertale games. So you've got 2 days. So you guys build some more of your Undertale games, test it out, have some more, try and be creative with it. Get them nicely tuned so that they're not impossible to win. And I'll start the session off on Thursday when we're doing Pokemon Section 4. I'll start that section off with playing some Undertale games. That should be a lot of fun. All right. Well, we're doing these. So we've got Pokemon on Thursday. Then next week we don't have a stream on Monday. We've got Tuesday and Thursday as normal. After that, we're looking at cutting these down so that we can start preparing for running more events in libraries again. And that's pretty much everything. They're still going to be at 4 p.m. So after next week, I'm not sure how many sessions we're going to have every week. It might be a bit better just to be having 1 or 2 of these a week instead of 3. But I'll just make sure that... Oh, okay, Yo-Yo Cake. Let's have a quick look at Yo-Yo Cake before we finish up the stream. I'm already gone way over time. You're not coming up. Normally I can search for you fairly easily. That's all right. I'll look for you through here, Yo-Yo Cake. Make sure it's saved for me. Make sure it's updated. Hearttail. So you got to tell me what's not working, Yo-Yo Cake. It's not spawning the clones. Right, what it'll be, you'll just need to change your line. Maybe make your line this way. Because I know that I got us to make lines that way. Try that. Also, you haven't set your spawn rate or speed variables. So you've got set speed to 0, and you very correctly put your move speed steps in, but you haven't set your speed variable to anything. So yeah, that's what you need to do. It's just you need to put set speed to 5. All right, that's all we have time for. I've got to go. So that should hopefully be everything you need. Check out, what I'll do is I'll link in the comments of this YouTube video my slightly more advanced version of this Undertale game. So take this and look at it and figure out how it works. Watch the video again if you need to, if you got stuck. Remember the difference between X and Y. And remember when you want it to move a little bit, you want to change, not set. Setting is what happens when you go to a specific place. All right, so until I see you guys on Thursday for Pokemon Part 4, you guys stay awesome, be cool to each other, take care of yourselves. All right, we'll see you next time, ninjas.